Hello, welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. My name is Thomas. I'm joined by Terry today, and it's a disaster again. We've lost away 3-2 to Brighton. It feels like me and Terry never seem to do a positive video together. Probably not. It's not down to our own fault. It's been a disastrous season so far. 10 points at this point in the season is largely unacceptable. Oh, it was a disastrous weekend yet again. I couldn't quite believe that we didn't win in the end. It's not as even if we got a point, it was a loss. Of the performance as a whole, up until kind of the 80th minute is kind of where the collapse happened. Give us your brief thoughts about, did we play well? We were better, we controlled the game, but we didn't really need to play that well.
No, I mean, it's before the VAR thing. We weren't really playing well. We weren't playing badly. It wasn't like we were, as poor as we have been in recent performances against, Burnley and what have you. But it wasn't good. It was a proper come down in intensity from the week before, like the West Ham game. We looked so strong and so in command at West Ham, and I just never felt confident in the in this game. The result was an absolute sickener. Honestly, it knocked me for six. I couldn't even think about football for the rest of the weekend, and I've been sitting all day thinking, wish I wasn't doing this video tonight, because I'm still not in the mood to talk about football, truth be told, deep down. But yeah, it was it's just Everton, isn't it? At the minute, it's tough being a fan of this club right now, and I swear to God, like if something bad can happen, it will.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people on Twitter kind of saying it's not the manager's fault, it's not the players' fault, the decision went against them. It is their fault. Although we were dominating the game as such, Brighton were poor. They weren't good at all. We didn't have to be at our best to control the game. We did lack the intensity that we did have against West Ham. We didn't have the same energy at all. Partly due to that, Bernard went off earlier. We'll be back on the left, and Sigurdsson went in the middle. A lot's been spoken about kind of the pace. He does slow down the game a lot. Sigurdsson, Delph, and Calvert-Lewin all came on. What are kind of your thoughts about the substitutions as a whole, especially maybe the Sigurdsson one and how that affected the rest of the game?
I didn't want to see Sigurdsson come on. I can understand, to be fair, why he did it, because last week he brought him on and he got a reaction out of him, and he smashed a good goal in. But for the shape of the team and the tactics that early with the injury, I would have. I think a lot of people would have preferred to see Moyes Keane come on, give him a proper run at a defence where he could get some joy. The late substitutions, one of them worked, immediately got a goal. Calvert-Lewin. One of them, Delph, didn't seem to do anything. Not criticising Delph directly. He came on and he played his game, but we didn't seem to shore up very much. We still seemed as open as we were. It didn't really lock the game down, which is what I'm almost certain was the idea. But yeah, I think they were very safe substitutions. Basically, he didn't really go for it. The Sigurdsson one was probably the worst. Like I really, would have preferred to see Moyes or even Calvert-Lewin that early. Just to add more, keep the shape of the team. Move Richarlison out to the left and then put a striker up front and see how we got on. But played it safe.
It really makes you wonder. Moyes Keane, he switched Juventus's bench for Everton's bench. It's really not kind of the same level. He spent 30 million on a striker and he just seems to refuse to play him. He said, this is Silva I'm talking about here. He said a lot in his press conferences. He has to wait till he adjusts to the league. He's never going to adjust to the league if he's not playing, basically. And when he's come on off the bench, he's impressed straight away. He's brought energy to the team, and we needed to keep up that energy, because when Bernard goes off the pitch, he does bring a lot of energy and tenacity to the team down the left. And if you're immediately switching back to the original 4-2-3-1 with Sigurdsson in the traditional number 10, it's taken so much pace out of the game. When if you bring on Moyes Keane and, as you said, put Richarlison on the left, you're keeping the shape of the team that you've prepared for, because Sigurdsson and Iwobi in the number 10 are they're not completely different, but they are massively different game plans to having those two different kind of players in that role. Straight away, the 30th minute, I think it was Bernard that went off. You've reverted back to safety. You've put Sigurdsson on. A lot of the pace in the game is lost. A lot of the intensity of kind of pushing the centre-backs and being on the front foot is gone. You bring on Moyes Keane. We've seen so far, he's got a lot of talent, he's got skills, he's got pace, he's got physicality. He keeps the energy up, he keeps the momentum, and then obviously we won't know if we would have gone on to win the game whether Moyes Keane was there or not, but surely that's the perfect opportunity to kind of retain your shape. And even as he said, even if it's not Moyes Keane, surely Calvert-Lewin, a striker, is Richarlison at striker so important that you're willing to keep him there and then lose a lot of the pace of the team, bring on Sigurdsson? I don't think so. Richarlison's perfectly good on the left. He plays well. It's his preferred position. He doesn't like playing on the right necessarily. I think he prefers the left a lot more. And I think it was a safe substitution, but we've seen that a lot under Marco Silva. It's a safe, kind of reserved, go back to what you know, don't risk it. And I think that's what's led to a lot of our... I've completely lost my train of thought. What's it led to? It's led... I'll come on from here. It's led to our poor form that we're kind of sticking to what we know and we're not really pushing the boundaries. The West Ham game, we experimented, we changed. Well, we didn't. Marco Silva changed the team. He experimented, put in Iwobi number 10. Look what happens. You get a win. This game, he tries to go for the same thing, but as soon as something goes against him, back to what you know, normal 4-2-3-1, no pace in the game, kind of overall. This is a pretty loaded question I'm about to come up with next, and it's probably has a whole video by itself. What is it with this group of players and group of players before that the penalty decision goes against you? It's a bad VAR decision. It's not a clear and obvious error. We're not going to go into VAR. This isn't a VAR video. But then, even then, the onus is on the players to turn around and say, you know what, that's gone against us. Let's step up now. But instead, we go and concede in the 94th minute. It's a pretty loaded question. What do you think is the source of the problem? People have said maybe it's the motivation of Marco Silva, it's the mentality of the players itself, it's the leadership on the team. Kind of what do you think is the problem kind of away from home?
I honestly don't know. I don't think people will disagree with me, but I don't think this result was the same as the other capitulations away from home. I think this game had a lot more luck and bad luck specifically involved than the other ones did, where we, conceded a goal and our heads fell and we were never getting back into it. There's been multiple, away trips where or even just in general, we've conceded first and the heads go down. I don't know what the cause. I mean, it can't just be as simple as the manager. He will be a big part of it, of course, but we've changed that many players so much that it can't just. You know what I mean? Like I remember people thinking this when we had a completely different team under Roberto Martinez, completely different set of players, and they all had the same problem. I don't know what it is, but this week I feel like a lot of bad luck was involved in it. But through the players' own actions, they've sort of lost their goodwill towards bad luck going against them. Because if we were playing well and we'd got a few more good results and we were in a good position, you'd say, oh, we were really unlucky there. But because we've been so poor so consistently, no one's got the time of day for a bad hard luck story. Because I'm sorry, every other time wasn't bad luck, so you don't get to pin it on that now. You've surrendered your rights to feel hard done by.
Yeah, Jeff, I completely agree, and I think, although it was bad luck for the penalty, I think the final goal was completely our own fault. Okay, you can see you're going for the goal, you're desperate to score. But for Sidibe to kind of just go marauding down the right wing, kind of forget he's a defender, and then he left his pace completely exposed, which Trossard, I think his name, Trossard, when he came on, he looked dangerous, and Sidibe's left him completely free for everyone else to deal with. The defence was shambolic for that last goal. There was two standards. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
Well, the two stand-ins, basically, Mason Holgate and Sidibe, I don't think they really contributed to the security of the defence. The defence seemed kind of all over the place all day, and it was a lot of our own doing that, although the penalty decision was a bad one, we invited that last goal upon ourselves. The defence was in chaos, and I think a lot of our away performances have been completely our own fault. You look at Aston Villa, those goals were poor to concede. That was a late one on the counter-attack. I think El Ghazi it was at the end as well. It's completely our own making. If the luck goes against you, you turn around, you puff your chest out and you say, you know what, we're going to go on and win this. Our players just don't seem to have that in them.
I mean, we've now seen the good and the bad of Sidibe. Sidibe, when he's going forward, he's really good, and he was linking up with Richarlison again. It seems like you could possibly get a good partnership going there. But the bad is he presses really high up the pitch. He's completely missing when that counter attack comes for the third goal. and he will get punished for that in this league, because if you're out of position, then even the likes of Brighton, the top teams will make you pay a lot earlier than the 95th minute or whatever it was. Feel quite bad for Luca Dean, because he can't do anything else there. If he doesn't go for that, then it's just on the striker's foot for a tap in. He has to attack that ball, and it's raining and it's the ball slippery, and that's not why he scored it, but it contributes. But I felt really bad for him. But Holgate, he did okay. Holgate looks better at the minute because Michael Keane's playing so badly and Yerry is playing all right. So everyone, play Holgate and Mina. I think that'd be a disaster. This is the problem of not having another centre back, that now that Michael Keane's gone out of form, our only other option is Holgate, and I don't really rate Holgate personally. I think his positional sense is awful. I think he'd cost more goals than Michael Keane if he had a run on the side. Personally, that's what I think. So anyway, the third goal is just it's just pure Everton luck, isn't it? Really, I just the second goal knocked the stuffing out of them, and I don't. The problem is, even if they want to try and take the great game by the scruff of the neck and win, we just don't seem to have the players to get those goals. Other teams, when it goes against them and they try and they fight back, they've got players who can hit the opposition. We're playing it to ineffectual front players who can't score under pressure. I don't know.
There's because obviously I was tweeting the game, I was doing the update, and my stream went miles behind. I was 2 minutes behind for a bit, so I had to switch on 5 Live to try and listen to it. And when I heard Trossard and then that shout, it's in the past I've been absolutely livid about conceding last minute goals. At that point I was like, you know what? I'm not surprised. When that penalty decision went against us, it was as if I knew I kind of gave up. I was like, it's bound to happen. They are bound to go and win this. If anyone's winning here, it's them. We're on the back foot until that last minute foray down the right hand side for Sidibe. And I think it was Jeff Stelling on Sky Sports. He did everyone as well. Have you seen it when he said it was kind of the last minute? You hear the shout from whoever was covering the game, and he said Everton player scored, and then they go to it. It's like, yeah, Lucas Digne scored no goal. He did everybody there. It was awful from him, but just kind of. I fully expected it, to be honest. When that penalty went in, I resigned to myself to losing. It was going to happen one way or another. A lot of it our own making. One person in particular, Jordan Pickford. The first goal, Pascal Gross's free kick. We've seen a lot from Jordan Pickford. He seems to struggle setting up from a set piece. There's been times where I think it was the Mahrez free kick against City. He's making weird errors that you just don't expect to see a keeper of his level. What do you think's really going on with him there? I can't really put my finger on it. He doesn't seem to be able to set up from a set piece. Reaction wise, man to man, one on one. Sorry, he's a good goalkeeper, but his knowledge from set pieces, it honestly baffles me. He can't seem to set them up at all.
I know he's really lucky that there's more problems going on at the club at the minute, because if we were playing well, but he was the only one who was playing the way he is, then he'd be in his place to be really under threat. At the minute, I don't think it is. I genuinely, I was going into this season thinking to myself, in the League Cup, don't play the reserve keeper, because that's a sign that you're not taking it seriously. But with the form the last few weeks and some of the goals he's conceded, then honestly, Watford, I want Jonas Lazel to play, and if he plays well, keep him in the team until a time comes that he doesn't play well, because that's the way all the other players are supposedly looked at. If they, if they're not playing well and they lose their place, they've got to earn it. Got to earn it back in training. And Pickford should be no different. We brought Jonas Lazel in the summer. He's come in probably the idea is that I'm going to try and get a chance, and if I get my chance, then I'm going to try and keep hold of that shirt. He knows Jordan Pickford was the number one, but Jordan Pickford's not playing well, so give Leslie a chance in the cup, and if he keeps a clean sheet and gets through the next round, I'd start him in the Premier League until such a time.
Yeah, I thought that was the whole point of bringing in Lösel, that because Stecklenburg was never challenging Jordan Pickford. Let's be honest, he was only there in case Jordan Pickford got injured. The rumours around it when Lösel came in, it was like, this is genuine competition for Jordan Pickford now. He's a Premier League goalkeeper. He's been playing for Huddersfield for the past 2 years or something. He's genuinely going to challenge him. If Pickford doesn't get dropped for this game, when he's he has been susceptible to errors. He hasn't been good enough in recent weeks. If he doesn't get dropped tomorrow, there's no point in signing Lösel because if he's not actually going to be there to replace Pickford when he's not playing well, Pickford has nothing to be accountable for and he won't improve. Honestly, it literally seems that since John Pickford came back from the World Cup, he got his new big deal. He seems like he is the business. And it's been a lot of the England players, to be fair. Roy Keane and Gary Neville were talking about Dele Alli last night. This isn't really Everton, but it's interesting after the World Cup, the effect it had on a few of the England players. You know, they got to the semi-final when no one really expected them to. And the Pickford's a fine example of, I think he thinks he's a lot better than he actually is. He had his errors last year where he needed to calm down. The Newcastle game where he rugby tackled Rondon, he needed to calm down, and we were hoping we'd see that this year. You know, he's a year older, he's getting more mature, but now he seems to have problems somewhere else that he's now can't settle from a set piece. He really needs to sort himself out, and soon. And I feel like we were saying this last season as well, but we've got a World Cup semi-finalist goalkeeper. In the World Cup, he was brilliant. You know, he made that save last minute against Colombia. He saved the penalty. It all just seems to have kind of collapsed for him. But as he said, the focus isn't on him. It doesn't matter how badly he seems to play at the moment. There's just more pressing problems everywhere else. Sorry. And he doesn't seem to be held accountable for his mistakes that he's making. And it's frustrating. Last year, you kind of got it because it was like, even a Pickford in poor form, I'd rather play than Martin Stecklenburg. But now it's Jonas Lösel's a capable keeper. Why not bring him in for the game tomorrow? I think it might actually happen. I think we could see Lösel feature tomorrow. I tweeted something out, my predicted lineup for the Watford game. I think we could see something very safe from Marco Silva here. He won't want to lose his job at Watford, definitely. But this isn't a match preview for Watford. The final piece for today, win or lose tomorrow, what happens to Marco Silva?
I think he's probably going to go win or lose. I mean, it may not be straight after the game, may not even be the next day, but I genuinely think even from before West Ham, now I've not been one of the people who's wanted to see Marco Silva go for the longest time, and I'm not even strictly one now, but I've got to the point now where I think it's just an inevitability. I just think it's a matter of when rather than if now. I think the only thing that's really prevented it happening so far is identifying and securing the replacement. Because when the club last sacked the manager, they had to put a caretaker in. It went on for weeks and weeks, and they ended up desperately going for a short-term fix. A couple of months after they'd sacked the previous manager. I think now the club are basically just securing the replacement before they sack him. Now, I've defended Marco Silva several times, and there's just some things I've got to accept that there's some things you just can't defend him on. The away form goes back well before he got here, but you want a new manager to fix a problem. You don't want him to just carry it on. It hasn't happened. That stat about going a goal down is damning. There's just no defending that. There's every time we go behind, we never come back, and we very rarely even draw. So basically, if you score the first goal against Everton, you've won the game. That is unforgivable. That's a mortal sin in itself. And then there's the it's calmed down the last two games, sort of, but the fact that set pieces are practically like getting penalties against us, that we seem to be, gritting our teeth and white knuckling at the sides of our chairs every time there's a corner or a free kick in a good area. It's just these are managerial problems, and this opening run of fixtures to take the points we have and lose the games we have, it's sackable form. I'm sad that it's come to that, but I think it is just a matter of when it'll happen. I think it'll happen soon. It's the day they get a new manager lined up and get the okay. I think it'll happen within the hour.
Yeah, definitely. I think past managers that I've wanted to be sacked, I didn't like Koeman at all. I thought he was arrogant. I thought he kind of walked around like he was the business. He always seemed to want to go to Barcelona. I didn't like Koeman before he was sacked. I was glad he was sacked. I was glad Martinez was sacked because he refused to defend. Basically, he refused to even give a second in training to defending a set piece or defending organisation. Silva just seems to be one of those ones who just seems to have, he's lost the dressing room now. I think as tactically as aware as you can argue that he is or he isn't, he doesn't seem to have the ability to motivate anyone. And that's so important because you do go behind the games, it does happen. And to lose like we did at the weekend pretty much just summarizes the mentality of our players as it has been for the past season and a half under Silva. He just doesn't seem to have the ability to turn people around. And when it gets to that point, it's almost as if you have to make a change because it's very rare that you see a manager go that far down and lose that much support to kind of cannon back up. It's a shame it's come to it. There was a rumour last night that Marcelino's being contacted, the former Valencia manager. I don't really know much about him. Apparently he knows what he's doing. I'm happy for anyone at the moment, just not Sam Allardyce, not Steve Bruce, not David Unsworth, as some people were suggesting last night. That pretty much summarises it up. If you've got anything you'd like to add?
No, not really. Marcelino plays 4-4-2. Think of it like that.
That's what I want. I want Keane. I want Calvert-Lewin, those two up front.
That'll go down if it is him, which I personally don't think it will be, but because the source is a little bit ropey. But that'll be the most popular thing about him. He plays 4-4-2. I don't know. I take a long time to want a manager to go. The only manager I've ever outright hated was Allardyce, and I don't want to put another 45 minutes on this video by telling you why. But Silva, it's like I don't even hate Silva. I just think there's just too many, unforgivable cons in the cons column and not enough pros now. And it's just a case of Marcel Brands, and I hope it is Marcel Brands who's making the decision. Has got to make the decision now. He's got to look at it and go, right, well, this clearly isn't working. We've wasted a good quarter of the season with favourable fixtures, and he doesn't seem to be able to turn it round. And even last season, when he did turn it round, this is not the first massive dip in form. So even if Marco does turn it round this time, how many times are we just going to keep doing this? Are we just going to have poor form and then correct it enough to finish mid-table every time? And it's not progress. It's not good enough for the amount of investment that we've made.
Yeah, I think his poor form last season, he kind of had the excuse of it's his first season, give him a chance. He's had a season now. We're quarter of the way through the season. It's been disastrous. We're on 10 points. But that's another Marco Silva video. Basically, we could go into a lot of detail there again. So thank you very much for joining me. I know this is not an ideal video that either of us really wanted to make. Thank you all very much for watching. If you want to see more Terry, check out his social media. I'm not sure if it's this side or that side, just below him there. Check out my social media just below me. All the Toffee Blues social media, that will be in the description. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe, and let's hope for a better result against Watford. Goodbye.